You're bored, you've scrolled through everything, watched everything. There's nothing left to do, so you reach for your phone again. But here's the thing, boredom isn't new. Humans have been dealing with it for hundreds of thousands of years, and what they did with it might surprise you, because ancient humans didn't just sit around waiting to die. They invented entertainment from literally nothing. Let's start with time. In 1966, anthropologist Marshall Solins studied the Kung San people of the Kalahari, one of the last groups still living something close to the original human lifestyle. He found that adults worked an average of 15 to 20 hours a week getting food and managing survival. That's it. The rest was free time. He called them the original affluent society. Not because they had things, because they had time, more free time than you have right now. So what did they do with all those empty hours? The first thing they did was what you do. They played, not metaphorically, literally played, wrestling, running, throwing stones at targets, simple races, not for training, not for war preparation, just because they had a few hours, nothing pressing, and a body that wanted to move. Evidence of structured games shows up early across every civilization. Senet, a board game, was found in Egyptian tombs dating to 3500 BCE. Dice have been found in Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and ancient China, appearing independently in multiple civilizations with no contact between them. But here's where it gets interesting. Between playing and sleeping, ancient humans started making things. The oldest known decorative object in human history is a collection of shells found at Blombos Cave in South Africa. They're 75,000 years old. Each one has a small hole drilled through it, coated in red ochre, clearly meant to be strung together into jewelry. Nobody needed these. They served no survival function. Someone sat down with a stone tool and a free afternoon and made themselves a necklace. And drilling holes through shells with stone tools, without power, without metal, takes a very long time. These weren't moments of sudden inspiration. They were the product of accumulated boring afternoons. Then came music. The oldest known musical instrument is a flute made from a vulture bone, found in a cave in southern Germany. It's 40,000 years old. 5 finger holes precisely spaced, producing identifiable musical pitches. Someone sat there with a bird bone, a sharp tool, and an entire afternoon and drilled holes until it made a sound they liked. That's it. That's how music started, not with a grand vision, with boredom and curiosity. And then there's the cave. Lascaux in southern France contains over 600 paintings. Horses, bison, deer, rendered with perspective, shading, and movement in a way that shouldn't be possible from people with no artistic tradition. Altamira in northern Spain has a ceiling covered in bison so precisely observed that when the paintings were first described to scientists in 1880, they were immediately dismissed as forgeries, because nobody believed ancient people could paint that well. They were wrong. These caves weren't painted once. They were returned to repeatedly over generations. Researchers found layers, different styles, different pigments, different hands separated by centuries, all working on the same walls. People were coming back to these places over and over, adding to something they hadn't started and would never finish. It was a multi-generational, anonymous, collaborative project that no one individual would ever see completed. Started probably by someone with a free afternoon and a wall that looked like it needed something on it. But the most important thing ancient humans invented wasn't a painting or a flute, it was the story. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner spent years recording conversations among the Jew/Honsi people of the Kalahari. During the day, talk was practical. Who saw animal tracks where, which plants were ready, logistics, coordination, the business of staying alive. But at night, around the fire, everything changed. Over 80% of nighttime conversation was stories. Tales about people in distant places, myths about where the world came from, adventures nobody in the group had experienced firsthand, jokes that made the whole camp laugh. The fire wasn't just warmth. It was the original entertainment venue, the original stage, and every night as it burned down, people sat around it and did the one thing that required nothing but free time and a willingness to imagine. They told each other things, and in the telling, they built something: trust across distances, shared understanding between people who had never met, the ability to coordinate around ideas rather than just around immediate physical tasks. Anthropologists now believe that storytelling, not tool-making, not agriculture, not war, is the mechanism that allowed human groups to scale beyond small bands. You can only know so many people personally, but you can share a story with strangers. You can build a world together out of nothing, but words spoken around a fire on a cold night when there's nothing else to do. And around those fires something else happened. Laughter, humor, good-natured teasing. Hunter-gatherer bands used humor deliberately to maintain equality and stop quarrels. If someone was getting too full of themselves, the group would joke about them until they calmed down. No jail, no violence, just laughter. Because laughter is a signal that says this isn't serious. We're still playing, we're still friends. Children played too. In Rouffignac Cave in France, researchers found finger flutings, marks made by running fingers through soft clay on the cave walls. Many were made by children. One was made by a child no older than 5, but at a height that suggests the child was held at the hip of an adult so it could join in. No greater purpose than the joy of seeing your action leave a mark behind. So here's the timeline. 75,000 years ago, someone strung shells into a necklace. 40,000 years ago, someone carved a bone into a flute. 37,000 years ago, someone pressed their hand against a cave wall and blew red paint around it. 17,000 years ago, someone painted a horse on a cave wall in Lascaux that people still visit today. The people who made these things weren't trying to create art. They weren't trying to invent music. They were killing time. They had a free afternoon and nothing that needed doing, and they picked something up and started working on it. The bead, the flute, the painting, all of it was something to do. The fact that it became the oldest art in human history, the foundation of every creative tradition that followed, that was a side effect. So next time you're bored and your first instinct is to reach for your phone, remember, you're not doing something harmless. You're interrupting a process. The same process that made the bead, the same process that made the flute, the same process that looked at a blank cave wall and decided it needed something on it. If this blew your mind, hit that like button. It helps more than you know, and subscribe if you want more videos like this, where we break down the weird, the hidden, and the unexpected about how humans used to live. I'll see you in the next one.